First contact. The starship Horizon hung in orbit around Kepler 186f, a planet that had captured the imagination of Earth's scientists for decades. Commander Alexis Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling blue and green orb below. After a journey of over 500 light-years, humanity's first interstellar expedition had reached its destination. Final atmospheric analysis complete, Commander, reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the mission's lead xenobiologist. Oxygen levels are within human tolerances, no detected pathogens or toxins. Alexis nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension coursing through her veins. Prepare the landing team. We're going down. As the shuttle descended through wispy clouds, the terrain below came into sharp focus. Rolling hills covered in purple vegetation gave way to gleaming structures that defied Earth architecture. Spires of crystal and metal reached towards the sky, interconnected by gossamer bridges that seemed to float on air. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Carlos Ortiz, the team's security officer. "It's beautiful." The shuttle touched down in a clearing at the edge of what appeared to be a city. As the hatch opened, Alexis took a deep breath of alien air, relishing the slight sweetness that tickled her nostrils. She stepped onto the lavender grass, her boots sinking slightly into the spongy surface. "Fan out," she ordered. "Standard first contact protocols. Remember your training." The team of 6 humans spread across the clearing, instruments whirring as they collected data on everything from soil composition to atmospheric particulates. Alexis kept her eyes on the city, watching for any sign of movement or life. She didn't have to wait long. A shimmer in the air caught her attention, like heat rising from sun-baked asphalt, but instead of dissipating, it coalesced into a humanoid form. Alexis blinked, wondering if the alien atmosphere was playing tricks on her eyes. The figure solidified, revealing a being unlike anything Alexis had ever seen. It stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent skin that shifted colors like the surface of a soap bubble. 4 arms extended from a torso that tapered to a singular, trump-like appendage. But it was the face that captivated Alexis. 3 large, almond-shaped eyes arranged in a triangle, no visible nose, and a small, lightless mouth. "Holy shit," Carlos muttered, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm. Alexis shot him a warning glance. "Stand down, Lieutenant. We're not here to start a war." She took a step forward, hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "We come from a planet called Earth," she said slowly, knowing her words were meaningless to the alien, but hoping her tone would convey their intention. "We are explorers, seeking knowledge and friendship." The alien's skin rippled, shifting from blue to a soft gold. It raised one of its upper arms, mimicking Alexis's gesture. Then, to everyone's shock, it spoke. "Welcome, Earth-dwellers," the alien said in perfect English, its voice a melodious hum that seemed to resonate in Alexis' chest. "We have been expecting you." Alexis felt her jaw drop. She quickly composed herself, years of military training kicking in. You speak our language." The alien's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "We speak all languages. It is a simple matter of decoding brainwaves and translating neural patterns. I am Zorak, first emissary of the Luminary." Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock. "Fascinating. Your species must possess incredible cognitive abilities to perform real-time neural translation. The implications for information processing and data storage alone are staggering." Zorak's skin shimmered with amusement. "Your excitement is endearing. We have much to discuss, humans of Earth. Please, follow me to the Hall of Convergence. Our council awaits." As they walked towards the city, Alexis couldn't help but marvel at the alien architecture. What had appeared to be crystal from a distance was actually a living material, pulsing with bioluminescent energy. The gossamer bridges were force fields, shimmering into existence as they approached and dissipating behind them. "Your technology is incredible," Alexis said, trying to take in every detail. We've never seen anything like this. Zorok's skin rippled with what Alexis was beginning to recognize as pleasure. Technology? No, Commander Chen. What you see is simply an extension of ourselves. The city lives and breathes as we do, responding to our needs and desires. They entered a vast chamber, its domed ceiling a swirling map of the galaxy. Alexis gasped as she recognized the Milky Way, with a pulsing light marking Earth's location. Arranged in a circle were a dozen luminari, each unique in their coloration and subtle physical variations. One of the luminari, its skin a deep purple, spoke. "Welcome, humans. We are the Council of Light, guardians of this sector of the galaxy. We have watched your species for many of your centuries, waiting for the day you would reach beyond your cradle." Alexis stepped forward, acutely aware that she was representing not just her mission, but all of humanity. "On behalf of Earth, we are honored to make your acquaintance. We come seeking knowledge and peaceful exchange between our peoples." The purple luminari's skin rippled with an emotion Alexis couldn't decipher. "Noble intentions, Commander. But we must ask, are you prepared for the consequences of this exchange? Your species is young, prone to violence and self-destruction. How can we be certain you will use what you learn here wisely?" Carlos bristled at the implied insult, but Alexis raised a hand to quiet him. She met the alien's gaze steadily. "It's true that humanity has a troubled history. We've made mistakes, terrible ones. But we've also achieved incredible things. We've cured diseases, explored the depths of our oceans and the reaches of our solar system. We've created art and music that touch the soul. We're here, over 500 light years from our home, because we never stopped reaching for the stars." She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her next words. "We're not perfect, but we're striving to be better. And I believe that by learning from advanced civilizations like yours, we can accelerate that growth. We offer our friendship, our creativity, and our unwavering determination to improve ourselves and our place in the universe." The chamber fell silent. Alexis could feel her heart pounding, wondering if she had overstepped. Then, slowly, the luminary began to change color. Like a wave, a warm golden hue spread through the council members, culminating in a brilliant glow that filled the room. The purple luminary, now shimmering gold, spoke again. "Well said, Commander Chen. Your words reflect the potential we have seen in your species. We accept your offer of friendship and exchange. Let this mark the beginning of a new era for both our peoples." Alexis felt a wave of relief wash over her. She turned to her team, seeing the same mix of awe and excitement on their faces. This was why they had traveled so far, why they had left behind everything they knew. To forge connections with new life, to expand the boundaries of human knowledge and experience. As the formal introductions began, Alexis couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and they had been welcomed. The journey ahead would be challenging, full of misunderstandings and cultural clashes. But in this moment, standing in a room filled with alien light and the promise of cosmic friendship, Alexis knew that the future was bright. Little did she know that this first contact would lead to complications and adventures beyond her wildest imagination, testing the limits of human adaptability and the very nature of interspecies relationships. Diplomatic tensions. In the weeks following first contact, the human expedition and the luminary engaged in a whirlwind of cultural exchange and scientific collaboration. The Hall of Convergence became a hub of activity, with holographic displays showcasing the history and achievements of both species. Commander Alexis Chen found herself in daily meetings with the Luminary Council, navigating the complex waters of interspecies diplomacy. Today, she sat across from Zorok, the first emissary, discussing the potential for a formal alliance between Earth and the Luminary homeworld. "Your proposal is intriguing, Commander," Zorok said, their skin shimmering with a mix of blue and gold that Alexis had come to associate with cautious optimism. "However, there are concerns among our people about the pace of this relationship." Alexis leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "Concerns? I thought we were making excellent progress. Dr. Tanaka's team has already made breakthroughs in understanding your bioluminescent technology, and Lieutenant Ortiz has been working closely with your security forces to establish protocols for future human visitors. Zorak's skin rippled, a sign of discomfort. It is not the scientific or security aspects that trouble us, Alexis. It is a matter of biology. Biology. Alexis felt a knot form in her stomach. Have you discovered some incompatibility between our species? A pathogen we missed in our initial scans? No, nothing like that, Zorak said quickly. It is a question of reproduction. Alexis blinked, caught off guard. Reproduction. I'm not sure I understand. Zorak's skin flushed a deep purple, which Alexis recognized as their equivalent of a blush. You see, Commander, our species reproduces through a process of energy transfer and genetic recombination. It is a deeply intimate and spiritual act. We have observed that humans reproduce differently. Realization dawned on Alexis, and she felt her own cheeks grow warm. Oh, I see. Indeed, Zorak continued. Some members of our council are concerned that the physical nature of human reproduction might be seen as primitive or even offensive to our people. There are fears that close contact between our species could lead to inappropriate interactions. Alexis struggled to maintain her composure. Of all the potential diplomatic hurdles she had anticipated, alien concerns about human sex had not been on the list. I assure you, Zorak, that humanity has strict protocols about fraternization during diplomatic missions. We would never engage in any behavior that could be seen as disrespectful to your culture. Zorak's skin softened to a gentler blue. I believe you, Alexis. But not all of my people are as understanding. There is a growing movement, led by Council Member Vexina, that calls for limiting human presence on our world. As if summoned by the mention of their name, the chamber door slid open to reveal Vexina. The Luminary Councillor's skin was a harsh, dark red, a color Alexis had never seen on their species before. First Emissary, Vexina said, then a voice cold. I see you are once again in private council with the human commander. How convenient. Zorak rose, their own skin flushing with indignation. Council Member Vexina, this meeting was scheduled and approved by the full council. If you have concerns— I have more than concerns, Vexina interrupted. I have evidence. They produced a small device, and with a wave of their hand, a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. Alexis gasped. The image showed her and Zorak from a few days ago, during a tour of the Luminary's atmospheric control center. In the hologram, Alexis was laughing at something Zorak had said, her hand resting casually on the alien's arm. It was a friendly gesture, nothing more, but taken out of context. Explain this, intimacy, Vexina demanded. Is this not the prelude to your primitive mating rituals? Alexis stood, her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. That is a completely innocent interaction, council member. On Earth, casual touch between friends is common and carries no reproductive implications. Vexina's skin darkened further. Friends, you claim friendship after mere weeks. This only proves my point. Humans are impulsive, driven by base desires. They cannot be trusted with our knowledge, our technology. Who knows what damage they could do if allowed free rein on our world? Zorak stepped between them, their skin pulsing with calming blues and greens. Enough, Vexina. You overstep your authority. The council will discuss this matter in due course, but for now, you will show our guests the respect they deserve. Vexina's eyes narrowed, but they backed down. This isn't over, they hissed before storming out of the chamber. As the door slid shut, Alexis slumped back into her chair, her head in her hands. I'm so sorry, Zorak. I had no idea that gesture would be seen as inappropriate. In human culture, it's a sign of friendship, nothing more. Zorak's skin softened to a comforting lavender. Do not apologize, Alexis. You could not have known. But perhaps this incident highlights the need for more comprehensive cultural education on both sides. Alexis nodded, her mind racing. Agreed. I'll speak with Dr. Tanaka immediately about developing a cultural sensitivity program for our team. And perhaps we could arrange for some of your people to visit Earth. It might help dispel some of these misconceptions. Zorok's skin brightened. An excellent suggestion. I will propose it to the council. But be prepared for resistance, especially from Vexena and their followers. As Alexis left the chamber, her mind was a whirlwind of concerns. She had to find a way to bridge this cultural divide, to prove that humanity was ready for this alliance. But how could she convince an alien species to look past their preconceptions about human sexuality? She was so lost in thought that she nearly collided with Lieutenant Ortiz in the corridor. "Woke, Commander," Carlos said, steadying her. "You look like you've seen a ghost. Everything okay with the blue folks?" Alexis sighed. "Not exactly, Lieutenant. How's your diplomatic training?" Carlos raised an eyebrow. Basic at best. Why? Because Alexis said, rubbing her temples, "I need you to give the team a crash course in keeping their hands to themselves. Apparently, we've been coming across as a bit too friendly." Carlos' eyes widened. "Wait, are you saying the aliens think we're trying to, with them?" "Something like that," Alexis muttered. "Just spread the word. No touching, no prolonged eye contact, and for the love of all that's holy, no one mention anything about human reproduction. Clear?" "Crystal," Carlos said, looking both amused and mortified. "I'll get right on that." As he hurried off, Alexis couldn't help but chuckle despite the gravity of the situation. Of all the first contact scenarios they had trained for, alien prudishness had definitely not been on the list. She made her way to the science lab, where Dr. Tanaka was examining a sample of the luminary's living architecture. "Yuki," she called out, "I need your help with a unique cultural challenge." Dr. Tanaka looked up, her eyes bright with curiosity. "What kind of challenge?" Alexis took a deep breath. "How much do you know about luminary reproductive biology?" Yuki's eyebrows shot up. Well, that's not really my area of expertise. Why do you ask?" "Because," Alexis said, sinking into a chair, "it's apparently become the biggest threat to human-luminary relations. And if we can't find a way to address it, this entire mission might be in jeopardy." As Alexis explained the situation, Yuki's expression shifted from surprise to fascination to determination. "I see," she said when Alexis had finished. "Well, Commander, it looks like we have our work cut out for us. But if there's one thing humans excel at, it's adapting to new situations. We'll find a way to make this work." Alexis nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope. "You're right. We've come too far to let a little thing like alien sex panic derail us now. Let's get to work." As they began brainstorming ideas for cross-cultural education and sensitivity training, Alexis couldn't help but wonder what other surprises this alien world had in store. One thing was certain, the adventure was only just beginning. Scientific collaboration. The following weeks on Kepler 186 were a delicate balance of diplomatic tightrope walking and groundbreaking scientific discovery. Commander Alexis Chen found herself stretched thin, mediating cultural misunderstandings while also overseeing the research projects that were the heart of their mission. In the vast, shimmering laboratory complex that the luminary had provided, Dr. Yuki Tanaka was in her element. She moved from station to station, her eyes bright with excitement as she examined the latest results from their joint experiments. "Commander, you need to see this," Yuki called out, waving Alexis over to a holographic display. "We've made a breakthrough in understanding the luminary's bioluminescent technology." Alexis approached, noting the complex equations and molecular structures floating in the air. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Yuki's hands danced through the hologram, manipulating the images. The luminary's entire civilization is built on a foundation of bioluminescent energy. It's not just light, it's a complex form of bioelectrical communication, and we found a way to interface it with human neural patterns. Alex's eyes widened. "Are you saying we can communicate with their technology?" with our minds? Potentially, yes, Yuki nodded. But it's more than that. This could revolutionize everything from medical treatments to space travel. Imagine ships controlled by thought, or buildings that respond to our needs before we even articulate them. As they discussed the implications, a tall luminary approached. Its skin rippled with shades of green and gold. Alexis recognized Zalren, the lead luminary scientist assigned to their team. "Your progress is impressive, Dr. Tanaka," Zalren hummed, their three eyes blinking in sequence. "But I must express concern about the speed at which you're advancing. Our council fears that humanity may not be ready for such power." Alexis felt a flicker of frustration. With all due respect, Zalren, humanity has proven time and again that we can handle technological leaps. We went from our first powered flight to landing on our moon in less than 70 years. Zalren's skin darkened slightly. "And in that same period, did you not also develop weapons capable of destroying your entire planet?" The comment stung, but Alexis held her ground. "We did, and we learned from that mistake. It taught us the importance of responsible innovation, of considering the ethical implications of our advancements." Yuki stepped in, her voice calm but passionate. "Zalren, this research isn't about power, it's about understanding. Every breakthrough we make brings our species closer together. Isn't that worth the risk?" The luminary scientist was silent for a moment, their skin cycling through a range of colors. Finally, they spoke. "Perhaps you are right, Dr. Tanaka, but we must proceed with caution. The council will need to be convinced." As Zalren moved away, Alexis let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "Nice save, Yuki. I thought we were about to have another diplomatic incident on our hands." Yuki smiled wryly. "Well, I've been taking notes from your playbook, Commander. Diplomacy is just another form of problem-solving after all." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Lieutenant Carlos Ortiz, looking uncharacteristically flustered. "Commander, we've got a situation. One of our junior scientists, Dr. Evans, he's gone native." Alexis frowned. "What do you mean, gone native?" Carlos ran a hand through his hair. "He's been spending a lot of time with one of the luminary researchers. At first, we thought it was just scientific collaboration, but now, ma'am, I think he's falling in love with her. Him. It, them." "Oh, for the love of..." Alexis cut herself off, pinching the bridge of her nose. This was exactly the kind of complication they didn't need. "Where is he now?" "In his quarters. I've confined him there until you could assess the situation." Alexis nodded. "Good thinking, Lieutenant. Yuki, can you handle things here for a bit?" "Of course, Commander. Go deal with our love-struck Romeo." As Alexis made her way to the human living quarters, her mind raced. An interspecies romance was a complication they hadn't prepared for. If word got back to the Luminary Council, especially to Vexina, she found Dr. Marcus Evans pacing in his small room, looking equal parts elated and terrified. He was young, barely out of grad school, with a mop of curly hair and wide, earnest eyes. "Dr. Evans," Alexis began, keeping her tone neutral, "I understand you've been engaging in some extracurricular activities with one of the luminary researchers." Marcus flushed bright red. "Commander, I can explain. Lola and we've been working closely on the bioluminescent communication project. At first, it was just work, but then, I've never met anyone like her. The way her mind works, the depth of her understanding of the universe, it's beautiful." Alexis sighed. She could see the genuine emotion in the young scientist's eyes. This wasn't just some alien infatuation, he was truly smitten. "Marcus, I understand that feelings can develop in intense situations like this, but you have to understand the delicacy of our position here. Any hint of impropriety could jeopardize the entire mission." "But that's just it, Commander," Marcus insisted. "There's nothing improper about it. Lola and we connect on a mental and emotional level. It's pure, it's transcendent." Alexis raised an eyebrow. And there's been no physical contact. No attempts at cross-species reproduction. Marcus looked scandalized. What? No, Commander, the luminary reproduce through energy transfer. Lala and I have shared thoughts, ideas, but nothing physical. This was both a relief and a new complication. On one hand, they weren't dealing with a potential biological crisis. On the other, this mental connection could be seen as an even deeper violation at the more conservative luminary. All right, Dr. Evans. For now, I need you to keep this relationship strictly professional. No more private meetings, no sharing of thoughts or energy or whatever it is you've been doing. Stick to work-related communications only. Can you do that? Marcus nodded, looking crestfallen. Yes, Commander, I understand. As Alexis left his quarters, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of their interspecies relationship challenges. She made a mental note to have a serious talk with Zarek about establishing clear guidelines for human luminary interactions. Returning to the lab, she found Yuki and Zalrin engaged in an animated discussion about the potential applications of bioluminescent technology in human medicine. Commander, you're just in time, Yuki said, her eyes shining with excitement. We think we found a way to use luminary bioenergy to accelerate human cellular regeneration. The implications for treating injuries and diseases are staggering. Zalrin's skin pulsed with a mix of excitement and caution. It is a promising avenue of research, but it will require extensive testing before we can consider practical applications. Alexis nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. This was why they were here, to push the boundaries of science, to find solutions that could benefit both their species. Excellent work, both of you. Zalrin, would you be willing to present these findings to your council? I think it could go a long way in demonstrating the value of our collaboration. The luminary scientist's skin brightened. I would be honored, Commander Chen. Perhaps this will help sway some of the more hesitant members of our leadership. As they delved into the details of the presentation, Alexis felt a glimmer of hope. Despite the cultural clashes and misunderstandings, real progress was being made. Humanity and the luminary were on the brink of discoveries that could change both their civilizations for the better. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake the worry about Dr. Evans and his luminary paramour. How many other unexpected connections were forming between their species? And what would happen when these relationships inevitably came to light? As the day wound down, Alexis found herself standing at the window of her quarters, gazing out at the alien landscape. The purple fields rippled in the breeze, and in the distance, the crystalline spires of the luminary city glowed with internal light. She thought about Earth, so far away, and the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. They were making history here, forging connections that would shape the future of both their species. But with every step forward, new challenges arose. Alexis took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever tomorrow might bring. One thing was certain, life on Kepler 186 was never going to be boring. Interspecies romance. The Kepler 186F sunset painted the sky in hues of deep purple and orange, casting an otherworldly glow over the luminary city. Commander Alexis Chen stood on the balcony of the diplomatic quarters, lost in thought. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind of scientific breakthroughs and cultural exchanges, but the growing personal connections between humans and luminary were becoming impossible to ignore. A soft chime interrupted her reverie. "Enter," she called out, turning to face the door. Dr. Marcus Evans stepped in, his usually cheerful face clouded with worry. "Commander, I need to talk to you. It's about Laura." Alexis sighed, gesturing for the young scientist to take a seat. "I thought I made myself clear about maintaining professional boundaries, Dr. Evans." Marcus ran a hand through his curly hair, a nervous habit Alexis had noticed before. "I've tried, Commander, but it's not that simple. Lala and we've made a breakthrough." Alexis raised an eyebrow. "A scientific breakthrough?" "Yes, and no." Marcus took a deep breath. "We found a way to sync human brainwaves with luminary bioenergy. It's not just communication, it's a complete melding of minds. We can share thoughts, memories, emotions, everything. Alexis felt a chill run down her spine. The implications were staggering. Marcus, do you realize what you're saying? This goes beyond any protocol we have. The ethical considerations alone. I know, Marcus interrupted, his eyes bright with a mix of excitement and fear. But Commander, this could be the key to true understanding between our species. No more misunderstandings, no more cultural clashes. We could literally see the world through each other's eyes. Before Alexis could respond, another chime sounded. This time, it was Zorak who entered, their skin shimmering with agitation. Commander Chen, we have a situation, the luminary emissary said, their voice tinged with urgency. The council has called an emergency session. Vexner has presented evidence of inappropriate relations between humans and luminary. Alexis felt her heart sink. Let me guess, Dr. Evans and Lyra. Zorak's skin pulsed with surprise. You knew. I knew they were close. I didn't know about this. She gestured to Marcus, who had the grace to look sheepish. Zorak's 3 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of distress Alexis had come to recognize. This is worse than we feared. Vexner is calling for the immediate expulsion of all humans from our world. They claim your presence is corrupting our youth and endangering our way of life. Marcus stood up, his face pale. No, that's not true. What Lyra and I have, it's beautiful. It's the future. If the council could just experience it for themselves. Absolutely not, Alexis said firmly. Dr. Evans, you're confined to quarters until further notice. Zorak, I need to address the council immediately. As Marcus was escorted out, Alexis turned to Zorak. I'm so sorry about this. I should have seen it coming. To her surprise, Zorak's skin softened to a gentle blue. Do not apologize, Alexis. Perhaps this was inevitable. Our species are not so different after all. There was something in Zorak's tone that made Alexis look at them more closely. Zorak, is there something you're not telling me? The luminary emissary's skin, flushed with colors Alexis had never seen before, soft pinks and golds that seemed to glow from within. I have been experiencing strange sensations when we are together, Alexis. Feelings that are not typical for my species. I believe I'm developing what you would call romantic attachments. Alexis felt as if the floor had dropped out from under her. Of all the complications she had anticipated, this was not one of them. Zorak, I don't know what to say. You do not need to say anything, Zorak replied, their voice gentle. I understand that such feelings may not be reciprocated, but in light of recent events, I felt it important to be transparent. Before Alexis could formulate a response, the communication panel on her desk chimed urgently. Lieutenant Ortiz's voice came through, tense and rushed. Commander, we've got a problem. A big one. You need to get to the main plaza now. On my way, Alexis responded automatically, her mind still reeling from Zorak's confession. Zorak, Go, the luminary said. We can discuss this later. Your people need you now. Alexis nodded, pushing her personal confusion aside as she rushed out of the room. She made her way through the winding corridors of the luminary complex, her mind racing. What new crisis was waiting for her? As she emerged into the main plaza, the scene that greeted her was one of chaos. A large crowd of luminary had gathered, their skins flickering with agitated colors. In the center, held back by a line of security personnel, was a group of humans, and leading them was none other than Dr. Yuki Tanaka. What in the world? Alexis muttered, pushing her way through the crowd. Yuki's face lit up when she saw Alexis. Commander, thank goodness you're here. We were just about to demonstrate our latest breakthrough. Alexis felt a sense of dread. Yuki, what have you done? The scientist's eyes were bright with excitement. We've cracked it, Commander. The perfect synthesis of human and luminary biology. Watch. Before Alexis could stop her, Yuki reached out and touched the nearest luminary. There was a flash of light, and suddenly, Yuki's skin began to glow with the same bioluminescent patterns as the aliens. The crowd gasped. Some luminari recoiled in horror, while others moved closer, fascinated. "You see," Yuki called out, her voice ringing across the plaza. "We can be one people. There's no need for division, for misunderstanding. We can share everything, our thoughts, our feelings, our very essence." Alexis watched in a mix of awe and horror as more of her team stepped forward, each touching a luminary and undergoing the same transformation. It was beautiful, in a way, humans glowing with alien light, luminary pulsing with human emotions. But the beauty was short-lived. From the edge of the crowd, a familiar voice rang out. "Abomination." Vexna pushed their way forward, their skin a violent red. "This is exactly what I warned the council about. The humans are not content to learn. They seek to change us, to remake us in their image." The crowd's mood began to shift, fear and anger replacing curiosity. Alexis knew she had to act fast. "Everyone, please remain calm," she shouted, stepping between Yuki and Vexna. "This is not an attack or an attempt at change. It's a scientific breakthrough, nothing more." But even as she spoke, Alexis could see the situation spiraling out of control. The transformed humans were beginning to panic, overwhelmed by the new sensations coursing through them. Some luminari were reaching out, eager to experience the merge for themselves, while others were backing away in fear. In the midst of the chaos, Alexis felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Zorak, their skin a swirl of conflicting colors. "Alexis," they said, their voice barely audible above the growing roar of the crowd. "I fear we may have reached a point of no return." As security forces moved in to separate the humans and luminari, Alexis realized that Zorak was right. The carefully cultivated diplomatic relations, the scientific collaborations, the budding friendships, all of it was in jeopardy. But as she watched her glowing team members, saw the mix of fear and wonder on the faces of the luminari, Alexis felt a spark of hope. This crisis could tear their peoples apart, or it could be the catalyst for true understanding. The next few hours would determine the fate of not just this mission, but potentially the future of human-luminary relations, and Alexis knew that every decision she made from this moment on would shape that future. As she took a deep breath, preparing to address the frenzied crowd, Alexis couldn't help but think. This was what it meant to be human, to face the unknown, to push boundaries, and to find connection even in the most unlikely places. The real test of humanity's place in the cosmos was just beginning. Galactic threat. The days following the public demonstration of human-luminary fusion were tense. The Luminary City, once a beacon of cooperation and scientific advancement, now felt like a powder keg ready to explode. Commander Alexis Chen found herself in near-constant meetings with the Luminary Council, trying to navigate the diplomatic minefield that Dr. Tanaka's actions had created. As she entered the council chamber for what felt like the 100th time, Alexis steeled herself for another round of accusations and demands. The room was dimmer than usual, the bioluminescent walls pulsing with agitated colors. Vexna, unsurprisingly, was the first to speak. "Commander Chen, your people have gone too far. This abomination cannot be allowed to continue. We demand the immediate cessation of all fusion experiments and the quarantine of affected individuals." Alexis took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "Council members, I understand your concerns. What happened in the plaza was unexpected and unsanctioned, but I urge you to consider the potential benefits of this discovery. The ability to truly understand each other, to share experiences across species, could revolutionize our relationship." Zorak, their skin a muted lavender, spoke up. "Commander Chen speaks wisely. While the method of revelation was unconventional, we cannot ignore the scientific implications." The council chamber erupted into heated debate, with various members arguing for and against the continuation of human-luminary collaboration. Alexis watched, feeling a mix of frustration and hope. At least not everyone was calling for their immediate expulsion. Suddenly, the chamber was bathed in a harsh red light. Alarms blared, causing the luminary to flicker with distress. "What's happening?" Alexis shouted over the noise. One of the luminary technicians rushed into the room, their skin pale with fear. "We're detecting multiple unidentified objects entering the system at high speed. They're not responding to hails." The council members exchanged worried glances. Vexna's skin darkened. "The Void Hunters. They found us." "Void Hunters?" Alexis asked, a chill running down her spine. Zorak turned to her, their eyes filled with a fear Alexis had never seen before. A nomadic species that preys on advanced civilizations, stripping planets of resources and enslaving populations. "We thought we had hidden ourselves from them, but our arrival might have given away your location," Alexis finished, the weight of realization hitting her. The chief of Luminary Defense, a stocky alien named Krell, projected a holographic display of the system. Red dots representing the incoming threat were closing in rapidly. "We have perhaps 2 planetary rotations before they reach us," Krell announced grimly. "Our defenses are formidable, but we've never faced a threat of this magnitude." Alexis's mind raced. 2 days to prepare for an invasion by an unknown alien force. It seemed impossible, but she'd be damned if she was going to give up without a fight. "We need to combine our resources," she said, her voice cutting through the panic in the room. "Luminary technology with human tactical experience. It's our only chance." Vexna bristled. "You expect us to trust you with our defenses after what you've done?" "You don't have a choice," Alexis shot back. "This threat is bigger than our disagreements. If we don't work together, we all lose." There was a moment of tense silence, broken only by the continued blare of alarms. Finally, the head of the council spoke. "Commander Chen is right. We must put aside our differences and focus on the common threat. Krell, work with the humans. Use whatever resources you need." As the council chamber emptied, people rushing to their defensive positions, Alexis found herself face to face with Zorak. "I never thought I'd see the day when our peoples truly united," the luminaries said, their skin shimmering with a mix of fear and determination. Alexis managed a grim smile. Nothing like an existential threat to bring people together. "Come on, we've got work to do." The next 48 hours were a blur of activity. Alexis coordinated with her team, integrating human military strategies with luminary technology. Dr. Tanaka and her luminary counterparts worked tirelessly to weaponize the fusion technology, creating defenses that could adapt to both human and luminary control. Lieutenant Ortiz found himself working closely with Krell, their initial mistrust giving way to a grudging respect as they combined Earth's most advanced combat simulations with the luminary's vast astronomical knowledge. Even Dr. Evans and Lyra were put to work, their unique connection allowing them to interface with luminary systems in ways never before possible. Their ability to translate complex luminary concepts into terms humans could understand proved invaluable in the rush to prepare their defenses. As the deadline approached, Alexis stood in the central command center, surrounded by a mix of humans and luminary. The holographic display showed the Void Hunters' fleet, now close enough to make out individual ships, massive dark vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Status report," Alexis called out, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her gut. "Orbital defenses are online," Krell responded. "The fusion-powered shields are holding stable." Dr. Tanaka's voice came through next. "Bioweapon deployment systems are ready. If they breach the shields, we can hit them with targeted genetic disruptors." Alexis nodded, trying to project confidence. "Remember, people, we're not just fighting for ourselves here. The outcome of this battle could determine the future of human-luminary relations and our place in the galaxy. Whatever happens, I'm proud of what we've accomplished here." She turned to Zorak, who stood beside her, their skin a swirl of determined blues and fierce reds. "Ready for this?" The luminary's 3 eyes met hers, and Alexis was struck by the depth of emotion she saw there. "With you by my side, Alexis, I'm ready for anything." Before Alexis could respond, alarms blared. Krell's voice rang out. They're beginning their approach. All hands to battle stations. The first shots fired by the Void Hunters were like nothing Alexis had ever seen. Beams of dark energy that seemed to eat away at the very fabric of space. But the fusion-powered shields held, rippling with a combination of luminary bioluminescence and human-designed energy dispersion. "Return fire," Alexis ordered. Beams of light shot out from the planet's surface, a dazzling display of human and luminary technology working in perfect harmony. Where they struck, Void Hunter ships shuddered and went dark. But the enemy was relentless. For every ship they disabled, 2 more seemed to take its place. The battle raged on, a desperate struggle against an implacable foe. Hours passed in a blur of tactical decisions, near misses, and small victories. Alexis lost track of time, focused solely on the ebb and flow of the battle. She watched as human pilots, their minds linked to luminary craft through the fusion technology, pulled off maneuvers that should have been impossible. Just when it seemed they might be gaining the upper hand, a massive Void Hunter vessel broke through their lines, heading straight for the planet's surface. "They're going to attempt a ground invasion," Krell shouted. Alexis made a split-second decision. "Dr. Evans, Lara, you're up. Deploy the bioweapon." Through their merged consciousness, the human luminary pair interfaced with the planet's defense systems. A wave of energy pulsed out, invisible to the naked eye, but devastating to the Void Hunter's unique biology. The effect was immediate. The invading forces faltered, their ships drifting aimlessly in space. On the few vessels that had managed to land, Void Hunters stumbled and fell, their dark forms writhing in pain. "It's working," Dr. Tanaka cried out. "Their neural networks are shutting down." As the Void Hunter fleet fell into disarray, the combined human luminary forces pressed their advantage. Within hours, it was over. The remaining enemy ships fled, jumping to hyperspace and vanishing from their sensors. A stunned silence fell over the command center, broken only by the beeping of consoles and the heavy breathing of exhausted personnel. Then, slowly, a cheer began to build. Humans and luminary alike embraced, their joy transcending the boundaries of species. Alexis felt a hand on her shoulder and turned to see Zarak, their skin glowing with a warmth she'd never seen before. "We did it," the luminary said softly. "Together." As the celebration erupted around them, Alexis allowed herself a moment to appreciate the magnitude of what they'd accomplished. Humanity had faced its first true extraterrestrial threat and emerged victorious, not through brute force or superior technology, but through cooperation and understanding. The battle was over, but Alexis knew that the real work was just beginning. They had proven that humans and luminary could work together in a crisis. Now they had to figure out how to live together in peace. As she looked out at the mixed crowd of humans and luminary, their differences seeming less important in the wake of their shared victory, Alexis felt a surge of hope for the future. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The dawn of a new era of galactic cooperation was breaking, and humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. New frontiers. The weeks following the Void Hunter attack were a whirlwind of activity on Kepler 186f. The once pristine landscape bore the scars of battle, but amid the destruction, a new spirit of cooperation flourished. Humans and luminary worked side by side to rebuild, their shared experience of facing a common enemy having forged bonds stronger than any diplomatic agreement could have achieved. Commander Alexis Chen stood on the balcony of the newly reconstructed Hall of Convergence, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of purple and gold. The view was different now. Debris from the battle still orbited the planet, a constant reminder of how close they had come to annihilation. But there was beauty in it too, a testament to their survival and unity. "Credit for your thoughts, Commander." Alexis turned to see Zarak approach, their skin shimmering with warm, inviting colors. She smiled, still marveling at how easily she could now read the luminary's emotions. "Just thinking about how far we've come," she replied. "A few months ago, we were strangers. Now we are one," Zarok finished, their three eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture Alexis had come to recognize as affection. The door chimed, and Dr. Yuki Tanaka entered, followed by her luminary counterpart, Zalaran. The two scientists had become inseparable since the battle, their shared passion for discovery amplified by the merging of their minds. "Commander Emissary," Yuki said, barely containing her excitement. "We've made a breakthrough in the fusion technology. We think we can adapt it for large-scale use, interstellar travel, planetary terraforming, even healing catastrophic injuries." Zalran's skin pulsed with enthusiastic blues and greens. "The potential applications are limitless. But we wanted to discuss the ethical implications before proceeding further." Alexis nodded, a surge of pride warming her chest. This was the kind of thoughtful, collaborative approach she had hoped for when they first arrived on this alien world. "Let's convene the Joint Ethics Committee," she suggested. "We'll need representatives from both species to fully explore the ramifications." As they discussed the logistics, Lieutenant Carlos Ortiz entered, a holographic display flickering to life from his wrist device. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, "but I thought you'd want to see this. We've detected unusual activity at the edge of the system." The hologram expanded, showing a cluster of ships approaching. But unlike the dread that had accompanied the Void Hunter's arrival, Alexis felt a spark of curiosity. "They're not Void Hunters," Zarak observed, their skin rippling with interest. "The energy signatures are unlike anything we've encountered before." Alexis straightened, her explorer's instinct kicking in. "Looks like the universe has more surprises in store for us. Shall we go say hello?" The group made their way to the command center, now a seamless blend of human and luminary technology. Dr. Marcus Evans and Lyra were already there, their minds linked as they interfaced with the long-range sensors. "We're picking up a transmission," Marcus reported, his voice overlapping with Lyra's in an eerie harmony. It's an invitation." A holographic message materialized in the center of the room. The being that appeared was unlike anything they had seen before, a swirling mass of energy that somehow conveyed sentience and intelligence. "Greetings, children of Earth and Lumina," the being said, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. "We are the collective, watchers of the galaxy. We have observed your battle against the Void Hunters with great interest. Your ability to unite in the face of adversity has proven you worthy of joining the galactic community." A stunned silence fell over the room. Alexis felt her heart racing. This was it, the moment humanity had dreamed of for centuries. First contact had been just the beginning. Now, they were being invited to take their place among the stars. "We would be honored," Alexis said, hoping her voice conveyed the magnitude of the moment. Zarak stepped forward, their skin a dazzling array of colors. The Luminari, too, accept this invitation with gratitude and humility. The energy being seemed to pulse with approval. "Excellent. We will send coordinates for a neutral meeting ground. There is much to discuss, alliances to forge, knowledge to share, and threats to face together. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders and dangers, but together we believe you will thrive." As the transmission ended, the command center erupted into excited chatter. Alexis turned to her team, human and luminary alike, and saw her own mix of excitement and apprehension reflected in their faces. "Well," she said, a smile tugging at her lips, "looks like we've got some preparing to do. Dr. Tanaka, Dr. Evans, I want full reports on our fusion technology. We'll need to decide what to share and what to keep close. Lieutenant Ortiz, work with Krell to prep our ships for long-range travel. Zarak." The luminary met her gaze, a wealth of unspoken understanding passing between them. "Zarak, we've got a lot of diplomatic work ahead of us. Think you're up for being the voice of our united peoples." Zarak's skin glowed with determination. It would be my honor, Alexis. Together, we will show the galaxy what Terrans and Luminari can achieve. As the team dispersed to their tasks, Alexis took a moment to absorb the magnitude of what was happening. They had come to Kepler 186 as seeking knowledge and friendship. They had found so much more: challenges, growth, love, and now, a gateway to a larger universe. The next few weeks were a flurry of activity. Ships were prepared, crews were assembled, mixed teams of humans and Luminari, their minds linked through the refined fusion technology. Cultural exchange programs were hastily put together, ensuring that both species would be ready to represent their united front to the galactic community. On the day of departure, Alexis stood before the assembled crews. Humans in their sleek uniforms stood shoulder to shoulder with Luminari, their bioluminescent skin pulsing with excitement. Today, we embark on the greatest adventure in the history of both our peoples, Alexis began, her voice carrying across the launch bay. We go forth not as separate species, but as one united force. We carry with us the best of both worlds, human determination and Luminari wisdom, Earth's passion and Kepler's serenity. She paused, looking out at the faces before her. Dr. Tanaka, her eyes shining with the promise of new discoveries. Lieutenant Ortiz, standing tall and proud next to his Luminari co-pilot. Dr. Evans and Lila, their hands intertwined, a living symbol of what their people could become. There will be challenges ahead, Alexis continued. New species to understand, new technologies to master, new threats to face. But I have faith in us, in our ability to adapt, to learn, to grow. We've proven that our differences can be our greatest strength. Now, let's show the galaxy what we can do. A cheer went up from the assembled crews. As they began to board their ships, Alexis felt a presence at her side. She turned to see Zarak, their skin glowing with a depth of emotion that took her breath away. "Ready for this?" she asked softly. Zarak's 3 eyes met hers, and Alexis felt a warmth that had nothing to do with bioluminescence. "With you, I'm ready for anything." As they boarded the flagship together, Alexis took one last look at the world that had changed everything. Kepler 186 had been the crucible in which this new alliance had been forged. Now it would be their launching point to the stars. The ships rose as one, breaking free of the planet's atmosphere. As they aligned for the jump to the coordinates provided by the collective, Alexis felt a sense of limitless possibility. Humanity had taken its first steps into the galaxy as explorers. Now, hand in hand with the Luminari, they would stride forth as equals, ready to face whatever wonders and challenges awaited them in the cosmic ocean. The stars beckoned, and together, they answered the call.